Hello, merry meet. So I'm going to review a book today, and the book I want to read today is a little one. It is Everyday Tarot Essential, and it doesn't say a particular author. I think that yes, it does. James Lynn Page. But anyway, it is from the Essential series. They have all sorts of books on all sorts of topics. It's basically beginner introductions to a lot of different things. You can look at them a bit like the Complete Idiot Guide books, but not as in depth. So yeah, I first heard about this book on a thread about the tarot on a forum called Color Me. Now this is an adult site, but there is an off-topic section there, and we were discussing the tarot, and somebody were oohing and eyeing over this book. And so when I found it used cheap, I decided to get it. So, is this a good book or not? Well, it depends on who you are. Basically, what this is, it's a big little white book, basically. It goes into somewhat more in depth about each card than your typical little white book does. It has 3 tarot spreads it goes into in depth and some information on the tarot itself. Now, if you have read any books about the tarot, you already know the information in this book, and it is therefore pointless. But if you're buying your first tarot deck, and you're not buying a set that comes with a book, and you want something a bit more in depth, but not something that's daunting, like a several hundred-page book with lot of pages on each card, and something you want something easy to get into it, then this is pretty good. So it is basically a very, very, very beginner's book. The only thing I can see this can be used for is intermediary readers who might want to have something else to check up on a card. Like, there are a lot of minor arcana cards, and sometimes you can think, does it have. What was the meaning of that particular card? But other than that, if you are familiar with the tarot, you might as well skip it. Now, what's in this deck? This book. It is summer outside, so it's very, very warm. Norway is usually a pretty cold nation, but for a few weeks around June, August, yeah, the weather gods crank up the temperature. So yeah, basically, what is happening? Have an introduction, which is exactly what it says. You have the origin of the tarot, which discusses both the actual history that we know about the tarot and also a bit about the various theories about where it can come from. Some theories is that it was a Chinese um, playing game. Some say it is from Egypt and so on. Basically, it discusses some of the more popular theories. Then you have Inside the Tarot, which basically breaks it down. This is the major arcana, these are the suits, these are the court cards, and so on. And then we have How the Tarot Works, which presents the author's definition about how the tarot works. And while of course there are a million different ideas about how the tarot works, if you are a beginner, it can be useful to have at least one theory presented to you. And then you have the Greater Mysteries, the Major Arcana, which then just goes through each card. And I'll show you that section later so you can see just how much information is on each card. And then you have the Minor Arcana, the Suits of Wands, the Minor Arcana, the Suits of Cups, the Minor Arcana, the Suits of Swords, and the Minor Arcana, the Suits of Pentacles, which just goes through the cards. So basically, just like a little white book, it has a blurb about each card. Then it has working with the tarot spreads, which has 3 spreads, and it is It is the Celtic Cross, which every book about the tarot have. It's like a law. You have to have the Celtic Cross in your book or you'll be arrested. And yes, I am making a joke. Then it is the horseshoe spread, which I particularly like myself, which I think is the second most popular tarot spread. You see it a lot. And then you have a horoscope spread. So yeah, and the spreads actually do get quite a bit of attention. Now, of course, there's a limit how much attention you can have in this tiny little book. I'm sorry, that's a telephone going off. And so yeah, but for what it is, it do explain the spreads very well, so I do really like the spreads chapter. Other than that, we have afterward, after the reading and index and other titles in the essential series, and yeah, there's also a section with some sample readings. Basically, this is the question that such and such came with, this is how I read. Now, for me, when I started out with the tarot, I found those books that had such sample readings very useful because it gave me an idea of what sort of answers tarot could answer, how to get those answers, and so on. So yeah, but let's move to some of the cards. Basically, this is basically what a card gets. It gets a 2-page spread, a picture of the card, and it follows the red and white on one side and then basically going down. I think it's 2 sides. Yeah, each card of the Major Arcana gets roughly equal 2 pages. I see the Hanged Man starts a little bit on this page, but for the most part, 2 pages. So yeah, and the Minor Arcana gets 1 page each. Actually, that's one thing I'm just gonna have a little mini rant. A mini one, I promise. I have never liked that in so many tarot books, the Minor Arcana gets so much less attention than the Major Arcana. I mean, when you lie the cards, all the cards are just as important, and there's just as much symbolism and importance to the Minor Arcana as to the Major Arcana. So very often you just have little blurbs about the Minor Arcana and then full spreads about the Major Arcana, and I feel that then you're missing out a lot. So yeah, I mean, sure, when you're reading, Major Arcana cards signals more important shifts than the Minor Arcana cards, but they are still uh, full of symbolism that is vital to the reading. So yeah, include more about the Minor Arcana, but that's not what this review is about. 1 page isn't as bad. Like I said, if what you're looking for is a book that will deepen your understanding about the tarot and so on, this isn't it. What this is a complete beginner's guide, and as a complete beginner's guide, I think it is quite good. I started with this huge book when I first started reading the tarot. My mother bought a tarot deck, a Rider-Waite deck. Excuse me. She bought a Rider-Waite deck and a pretty big book. And I don't remember the English title of it. So, but anyway, and I felt a bit overwhelmed at it because it was so much information to learn. I think I would have actually learned the tarot quicker had I had a little book like this, because it gives you the information you need. It expands on what you get in the little white booklet that is with packaged with about every tarot deck, but at the same time it doesn't go into a lot of depth. So yeah, we can have a look at the spreads as well. For example, here we have the horoscope spread. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages on about each spread with it enough to go somewhat in depth to it. So yeah, as a complete beginner's guide, I would say this is a pretty good book. I'll give it a 8 out of 10. As a book for those that have somewhat more experience with the tarot, it is useless. And if I were not so anal about collecting books, I would probably sell my copy. Ever since I am that anal, I won't. So yeah, that's my review of Everyday Tarot Essentials by James Lynn Page, and it is published by Folsham. Great for beginners, but it's just for beginners. I hope you have enjoyed this review. Have a great day, and blessed be.